I'm back! The Dark Knight Rises is director Christopher Nolan's long-awaited and much-anticipated conclusion to his Batman trilogy. Set 8 years that happened in the events that occurred in The Dark Knight, the movie is focused in Gotham City where they are in an era of peace because of the Dent Act, which has restricted a lot of organized crime activities that have happened across the city in the past. And because of the restrictions imposed under this new act, Bruce Wayne has not ended up donning the Batman suit for those years and has also aged considerably, as he is seen with the Caine in the beginning of the movie as well. But everything changes for those characters that you love, in addition to the city that they inhabit, in which this terrorist the size of 2 WWE wrestlers named Bane, played by Tom Hardy, ends up entering the city with his mercenaries, in which they intend to destroy the city and end up erasing any hope that any citizens of the city have left that Batman will return and end up saving the day. Now I, like hundreds of thousands of other people, were really looking forward to this movie because the way in which Christopher Nolan has built up this trilogy has been mesmerizing with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. So everybody like me was hoping that this could be one of the best movies of the year, but also a perfect conclusion to the Batman trilogy. And while I can't completely say that it is the perfect conclusion that I wanted it to be, The Dark Knight Rises is still a hell of a good film though. Christian Bale once again shows how he is the perfect Batman, and also for the Bruce Wayne character too, because the movie itself is a lot more focused on Bruce Wayne's redemption in order to don the Batman suit one more time in order to save the city. But the way in which he played off of the very fragmented emotions that Bruce Wayne goes through this movie, Bale played it very subtle and very heartfelt, in which you really felt the pain in his character for all the stuff that he's gone through in his life. Alongside Bale with the rest of the actors that returned from the previous entries in the Batman trilogy, there's Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, Michael Caine as Butler Alfred Pennyworth, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Jim Gordon. They all do respectable performances in their roles as they end up exploring more range than the past movies have allowed them to. Even though the movie tries to jumble together these old characters within all these new ones that they introduced in the film as well, everyone still has their chance to shine and they all deliver great performances. Moving on to the new characters though, the standouts without a doubt are Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle and Tom Hardy as Bane. Hathaway, for instance, makes an astounding transformation within the character of Selina Kyle, because for the character that is known as Catwoman, even though they never mention the name Catwoman once in the movie, the way in which she embodies all of the character's personality traits and also her great ways of kicking ass in the film, I could not have been more pleased with the way that Anne Hathaway exhibited it on screen, because she was sardonic, very innocent at points, but then very funny at times with some of the sexy lines that she says too. Tom Hardy also does an especially commendable job playing Bane, especially for the fact that all he has to really do in his acting, because most of his face is covered by the mask, he really does a lot with his eyes and his facial expressions, and even just the way that he stares throughout the movie. It may grate on some others' interest because that's really all he does in the film with his face, but then again, for a fact that you have to play a character and go throughout the entire film, I was never bored by what Hardy did with it, and the ways in which he played Bane at times were extremely menacing too. Director Christopher Nolan packs in so much punch within his direction for this movie, as not only does he create such a majestic cinematic scope for this movie in which everything is very grim and a loss of hope in many scenes, he does a very great job with displaying the action sequences on screen. Especially if you see this movie in IMAX, you are gonna have your jaw drop at how grand the scale is for the action scenes that are shown, and when that does happen, you are on the edge of your seat for several of them, especially some of the key chase sequences that happen throughout the film. You can tell that Nolan always has a very keen eye because he wants to make a movie that not only entertains you with the blockbuster eye candy that comes with it, but also allow you to connect with both the plot and the characters, which he has managed to do with every blockbuster he's done since Batman Begins. I'm really looking forward to what he's going to do after this, because nobody really knows what kind of projects he has laid up next besides producing Man of Steel. But nonetheless, from the way that he has come ever since Memento and The Following and Insomnia, he's certainly become one of the best filmmakers today without a doubt. Now the reason which I can't say that this is the perfect conclusion though is it really has to do with some of the new characters that they introduced. For instance, there's Miranda Tate, played by Marion Cotillard. While she does play the role very well, I just didn't completely buy the road that her character took throughout the film. And then also transition into Anne Hathaway's portrayal of Selina Kyle, which it really isn't her problem at all, but within the second act of the script, her character is almost non-existent, and they basically just bring her back for the third act because it's pretty much the point where everybody has to band together and fight against Bane and his mercenaries. And also, when it comes to the very well done action sequences, the way in which they have to go through tonal shifts to these very low-key scenes that focus more on the characters, while most of them are interesting, there are some of them here and there that they just cut in random places, and they just really felt out of place at points in the film in the end. But besides those minor nitpicks I do have with the film, The Dark Knight Rises is an extremely satisfying conclusion to one of the best comic book trilogies that I have seen on screen in my whole life, and I really look forward to what Christopher Nolan is going to be doing after with the Batman series ending like this. I had a very fun time with this movie. It was entertaining, it was fun, it was funny at times, but it was also very compelling in its scope especially. And despite those minor problems that I did have, as I said before, I'm going to give The Dark Knight Rises a very strong 4.5 out of 5 stars. So I hope you enjoyed my review of The Dark Knight Rises. I'll be returning back with a few videos in the next few days. For instance, I have a DVD and Blu-ray update coming soon, and I'm also going to start posting more videos to my second channel, A Tyler Christian Film, which I have not been using for a while, but I've come up with recent ideas since to start putting on there. So in the meantime, Tyler from CaliCritic Reviews, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.